Hey, are you an online creative business owner making courses, communities, or helping people with coaching? Do you know what tools you, as the business owner, should be using? Well, in this video, we're going to go over all the best tools for finance, project management, design, marketing, and of course, teaching. Hi, I'm Angel from rtcourseexperts.com, and we help creative teachers with tech for their online courses, their membership communities, and their coaching website. In this lesson, we're learning all about the tools that you should use to run your day-to-day training business. We're going to learn what do we mean by tools, why use them, how to choose them. Then we'll go over an example where we'll talk about tools that typical online creative teachers use. And finally, we'll wrap up and summarize our most important tips. So in this lesson, we want to go over what are business tools for online course creators that teach courses, that help with communities, that provide coaching. So we just want to go over the business tools for small business owners or big business owners, what they need, which are the best tools that they might want to start with and evolve, what are the tools in their tech stack, so what's in their toolbox. And so that's what we're going to go over in this lesson. First of all, what do we mean by tools? Well, these are web or mobile apps that help your company solve specific problems or reach certain goals. So we're talking about tools like certain web apps, certain mobile apps. These are your web tools that you use throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout the year. These are tools that you collaborate with your team on, and together you reach those goals. Then you do repeatable work in a high quality way. Now, why would you use tools? So for sure, you could probably just have like a Word doc or a Google Sheet or an Excel document and just pretty much do everything in there. Just manually build your own checklists, identify fields. You can do all these sort of things and go back and forth. But the tools are specialized and they're really good at what they do. So over time, little by little, as your budget allows, you're going to start stacking those core tools for your business. And because of that, you're going to be able to do more. These tools are specialized. They know exactly the fields that you need. They're good at whatever that thing is, whether it's video or media or uploading to social media, all that sort of stuff. These tools are especially designed just for that. You can kind of go manual, you can alt tab, you can go back and forth, you can have maybe a checklist or written notes, but over time, when you use these tools, these procedures, these specialized tools for each of your different functions, you're just going to be able to do so much more as a small business owner with your training business. So let's get into a how-to guide and go over the different tools that you might need for your different departments or functions in your training business. First, you might have a set of financial, accounting, human resource tools. These are tools that are going to help you with bookkeeping, with getting payments, with paying your team, your contractors. And of course, some of these might be just web like or Fiverr, but some of these could be actual apps like or Gusto. All right, so we'll get into that a little bit later. Another area is project management. How do you run your team? How do you run your factory? How do you create new courses, new community rooms? How do you maintain those communities and courses and webinars and other things like that? So as a team, how are you doing the day-to-day stuff as well as the one-off events and the one-off big rocks and big missions and new products and services that you want to launch? So having a good collection of project management tools is going to really help you coordinate, achieve your goals, break down goals. Next is design. Now, in some cases, some of these tools, yeah, you can do it with a spreadsheet or a Word doc, but the design tools, they are especially made for this stuff. And of course, there's different levels. There's kind of free open source stuff. Like I'm a big fan of Inkscape. And then of course you can get the full Adobe suite and everything in between. And then it depends on what you're doing, or in some cases, maybe your contractors need the tools, but nevertheless, you should be aware of what are those design tools that you need for your team. Next is marketing and sales. So there's a wide range of tools that you're going to use to create awareness, to get leads, to nurture your traffic, whether it's social media or things on your website. Then on the sales side of things, once you do have people raising their hand for your products and services, you're going to want to collect payments. You're going to want to make invoices if you're a coach. So collecting payments, you might need to schedule appointments if you're a coach, or maybe you have a high-end product. For those people, they might want to check in with you. So there's a whole bunch of tools that you're going to need for marketing and sales. Next is operations. And this is really just running your business. So this is your team maintaining those courses, maintaining community that you have for your creative customers. It's coaching, right? Scheduling those appointments, handling incoming requests, all this sort of stuff, keeping your business running. So there's going to be a whole bunch of different operational tools that you could potentially use as you grow with the load and the more customers, more clients. Next is information technology. So if you were a big company, there'd be like an IT department making sure your computers are working. Well, as a small business creator, trainer, you're going to have a set of IT tools. As you might have backup tools, you might have password tools, you might just have a place to upload files and download files like a Microsoft Teams or Google Workspace. So you need to take a moment to think about what are your key IT tools that you're going to need to be successful as you grow. Finally, of course, why we're all here is education and training. There's a set of tools that you're going to need to run your business so that you can offer courses, you can have that community, you can have the webinars and the coaching services with Zoom and all that kind of stuff. You want to make sure that you get the right tools to do all those different services. Let's go over some of the benefits of these online tools. Most of these tools have a free or a starter tier. So you're going to start with a tier. Maybe it's a trial, maybe it's a free. Pay attention. Some of the trials require credit card, and after a few days, they automatically switch. Some are truly legit free. Then whenever you're ready, you move up to the next tier and the next tier and the next tier. So just pay attention to those tiers. But most of the services that are going to help you, there's some free stuff out there that's amazing, like Inkscape, Slack, even Notion. So we'll get into those tools in a minute during the lesson, during the example. Another thing that's awesome about these tools is that they have all the common fields that you need for that thing. So, an accounting software is going to have all the right fields. Stripe for payment, it's going to have all the right fields you need for invoices. If you had to do this manually and create a PDF and create a Word document or something like that to send to customers, you're going to have to brainstorm. You're not going to also keep up with trends. So you're going to have these fields, exactly what you need by using the right tool for the different things, whether it's operations or payment or something, or marketing tools. So that's going to be great. The marketing tools are going to talk about scheduling and which social media channels and what kind of media. And they're going to have smart rules that know that what goes with what channel. If you were building this from scratch or faking it without the tool, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. Your quality is going to be off. So tools really have that advantage. They're built for these purposes, and hopefully, and most of the time, they have the right content that you need to quickly move you through. Now, these tools can be used by you as the solo business owner. So when you're small and starting off, it's you doing a lot of stuff. You recorded some courses, you have your ebook, you have your little web page. So a lot of these tools, they're going to be perfect for you to just get going, get that fundamental foundation that you need. But as you grow and you have a handful of contractors, maybe you have a VA, a designer, a social media, a tech agency like RT Course Experts, whatever. As you're growing, you're going to then be able to use these tools with teammates. You can share passwords, or you can have, in an ideal case, multiple users, roles, so that your teammates can do certain functions in each tool, but not be the owner. They don't need to see the credit cards that you're using. They can just simply go ahead and make a post but they don't have to change the rules. These tools are just so good at doing that one thing that they do. Yeah, some tools have a whole toolbox of things, but in general, as you're finding these tools, they're going to be really awesome at that one thing. So, that backup tool is going to really make sure to back up. It's going to upload it. It's going to give you access on your phone. They might mail you a USB hard drive if you needed it. I mean, they are really good at that thing, whether it's marketing or finance or operations. These tools are specialized. They continue to know the best practices in each of the industries. So that's fantastic. And you're gonna save so many hours instead of doing this stuff manually, going and alt tabbing to different systems, copying and importing and exporting and using paper and all this sort of stuff. These tools are gonna save you a bunch of hours. So tiny teams, like training teams, like experts at, maybe you're an expert in design or an expert in audio visual, whatever your thing is, you're going to be able to do more with your time and scale as a small business owner by using the right tools. Finally, these tools are updated all the time. While you're sleeping, they're getting updated. There's teams behind it. That's, you're paying some sort of, they're either free or you have some sort of subscription. These tools are constantly getting updated, bug fixes, add more features. They're keeping up with all the vendors too. So as Google does stuff, your social media tools updates. As security stuff happens with, malicious people out there, all your IT tools are keeping up with two-factor authentication and SSL and all these, security things. So these are all fantastic benefits that you get by using best-in-class tools for each of your departments and functions that you need. Hey, just a quick reminder, you probably found us by looking for ideas on how to improve your business, or maybe you're just trying to fix a problem. But before you forget, please subscribe to keep learning, and maybe share this with a bestie. You rock. Now let's check out an example. So let's say you're teaching woodcrafting, creating really cool things with wood, whether it's, tables and custom chairs or art or wood sculpting, all sorts of stuff. So you're teaching a bunch of stuff around wood. And let's also think about the different stages, like what would that online course teacher need in the beginning versus maybe after having a few courses and reaching, $5,000 to $10,000 in monthly recurring revenue. Let's start with finance and HR. So you're going to need some sort of online bank that maybe is initially funded by your personal bank in the beginning, and you have these automatic transactions happening. You're going to need some sort of payment system, and it's possible that your courses or your community have kind of a built-in payment system. As you grow, you're going to look at those fees and figure out what's the right payment system, the right payment gateway that I should use. So a lot of people grow into Stripe, and Stripe is a world leader. We love them. But yeah, so you might consider Stripe as an add-on to your course or your website. And so you could take that payment. In the beginning, you might use a spreadsheet for your basic accounting, your P&Ls, your profit and loss statements, what's going in, what's going out. But over time, as you go from maybe doing your own little personal business taxes to getting a CPA or maybe just a bookkeeper or something like that, then you're going to migrate up and try to get an accounting app, like something like a QuickBooks or something more modern like a Xero. And as your team grows, maybe in the beginning, your team is on Upwork or you're totally by yourself. But over time, as you start to get some contractors, and depending on your country, you might have to fill out certain forms. You could use a tool like Gusto to do those payments, to do some benefits and other things like that. Next, let's get into project management. So you're going to need something, right, to have your tasks. It could be your own task for your own company, your own goals, your next course, your community, some webinar you're going to host. Some people also use a project management tool to track stuff for their clients. Maybe you're coaching clients. So there's a bunch of good ones: Asana, Trello, ClickUp, Basecamp, etc. But you're going to need something, because just keeping your tasks on your notebook or your to-do list that's not shared and collaborative with everybody, That's not going to help you grow. Then you're going to need a place to move around these files. Sometimes the project management tools have a file share, or you attach some files to tasks, but you don't want it all over email. So you're going to need like either Google Drive or Dropbox or somewhere where everybody knows that that's where the files go. And that's where you have like your media kit, your colors, your pictures, your work for the week, all that stuff. Everybody knows, oh yeah, let me just go look in the marketing folder or in the clients folder. Then you're going to need communication tools like Slack or Discord or Team. Things like Slack give you a whole bunch of stuff for free. It's fantastic. You have threads, you can upload files, you can make it fun with emojis because you guys are creative teachers. You can do all that cool stuff. The same thing with Zoom, and I also love Loom. So Zoom is great for meetings and recording meetings that you could send back to your teammates, or you can review what just was discussed with a coaching client by looking at the Zoom recording. And then I love Loom. Loom is a cool tool where you could just like screen record or record yourself and send it. So it's great. If you want to just do a quick 5 or 10 minute recording, Loom it and then send them a link so that way they could see it, they could rewatch it, or even a training video. Even though it's project management, you start to get rid of these unnecessary meetings that maybe you didn't need. You could have just sent a direct message or a little video explaining a little bit better than the few words you wrote. So Loom could be pretty cool if you haven't heard of it. Next up is design. I'm helping creative teachers, but it could be design for your own business, or it could be design for the stuff that you actually do. So in this case, we're talking about wood crafting. You're also going to probably create some images for your services page, your coaching, for your blog, your social media. These tools might be used by you, or they might be used by your contractor, and you don't even use these tools. But nevertheless, you should be aware of these different levels of tools. If you're a small business, you might just be fine with Canva, right? To occasionally create an image and not deal with royalty-free sources and text and all that sort of stuff. You just do it all right in Canva. Or as you grow, you go ahead and you start using different sources for your music and your images and your video, your stock footage. In some cases, when you're not editing those pixels, you might just need to move around some big blocks, some layout. And that's what those SVG programs are great for. So that's like the ultimate Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator. But then I like to use Inkscape. And it's a nice free Windows program. It's available on Mac too. And it's a great tool that's free and lets you have layers and move around all the different text and really composed layouts if you're not just doing that hard image editing, image processing that you would typically do in Photoshop or in some other tool. And then within design, you should think about your video toolbox, right? If you're doing videos yourself or some basic videos, are you just going to use your Apple phone? Are you going to get like CapCut? Or are you going to try to do Premiere and Final Cut or some other tool on your desktop? If that's not your jam, you could blow entire weekends on this until you get like a helper person. Then there's also advanced tools. Descript's a cool tool because I could take video and I'll see all the text, and then I could chop it up based on the text. So I could like delete a whole sentence, and then that video clip got adjusted. So there's all these modern, even AI type tools that could do some really cool tricks for video. And if you need to, you download, there's free tools for audio. Sometimes the video tools have basic audio to increase the decibels and things like that. But if you need to, you can go pull in a special tool just for audio. It doesn't have to be paid. If you're really teaching audio, then you're going to go get Pro Tracks and MIDI tools and all that fun stuff. But if that's not your thing and you just are teaching, in this case, we're teaching all about wood making and different styles and techniques and tools, it might make sense that they're just going to find a video editor on Upwork and they're going to help them out, or they might just do some of those basic videos themselves. Next up is the bread and butter, marketing and sales. So you're going to need some email management, right? That's going to onboard, you're going to collect leads. Popular ones are like ConvertKit or MailChimp, where you could send out newsletters. You can have a sequence of things. So when you release a blog article, it automatically gets emailed to you, all your different subscribers. Then there's going to be social media management. So it could be some tools like Hootsuite or Buffer or Social, right? They let you schedule your social media. They let you build it. They let you monitor all the different updates. You don't have to go in 15 different channels to see what activity is happening. You can get that all bubbled up to you. I like a new tool that I discovered called Metricool. It is very affordable. It has a free plan. It accesses a lot of channels. It makes it very simple to just schedule something and you can have a text, you can have an image or a video, and you just schedule it and it just abracadabra, it just works. This wood making teacher example that we're using, we could show a picture that maybe it's a tip, maybe it's a quote, maybe it's a full-on lesson, but you're posting it, or maybe it's a repost. Maybe this is a really great video, or maybe one of your courses is blowing up and you want to bring it back up. So you could just have a link and just kind of a quick little ad or a pitch, and the social media tools will just go ahead and reuse it, repost. Within the sales side of things, you might have some sort of CRM, customer relationship management. Maybe this woodworking teacher has a couple of VIP students that he or she helps directly. So every once in a while, people reach out. So there might be a list, and you might put that in a tool like a HubSpot or a Pipedrive. These tools track all your leads and where they are. They're warm, they just heard about you, or hey, they're ready to buy, or they're ready to rebuy after they've gone through your process. So all of those kind of tools can be used from your sales point of view. If you're a solo one-person shop, you may not have this, or you may just use like free HubSpot, or you may even just use a spreadsheet for this function. Once the list gets long enough and complicated enough, then you upgrade to that tool. And coaches should definitely leverage Calendly or SavvyCal or other tools like that. So these are tools that make it very easy for people to schedule time with you for a meeting. It could be paid time. Like on Calendly, you could say, hey, in order to hit this scheduled time, you have to pay $50 or $100, whatever it is that you need. So Calendly is a great tool, especially for training coaches. So that's what this woodcrafting teacher could use. And hey, you could buy the course, but if you need one-on-one lessons on how to use that Dremel tool or whatever, they can use Calendly to reach out and schedule that time with you. Now, from an operations point of view, you could use tools like Notion to have all your procedures and templates. This is for your team to know how to do certain things in your company, right? How to handle certain process. Notion is great. You can also use Notion for databases, your own custom list, or information about your team, or what are your favorite tools that you like to use. So in this case, and for this woodcrafting course builder, they might have their own little Notion cheat sheet of their favorite vendors and the favorite tools to use for each of these different things, or where to get coupons for all the, if you want to go beyond Home Depot and Lowe's and Ace Hardware, where are the coupons for certain specialty hardware that you might need for wood crafting. So all those things could be in a Notion doc internally, and then as needed, you utilize that stuff in your blogs or in your videos. Other tools that are popular are Trainual. So again, you could have your own homemade training videos. You might have tools that are just focused on training and procedures for your team, especially when you're growing beyond 5 teammates in your training business. There are other tools like Zendesk that helps you handle questions from your customers. So maybe you're offering a service or a community, and for people that have questions about billing or things like that, you might use a tool to handle all those different requests, and hopefully they're not refund requests. And finally, one of my most powerful tools is Zapier. So Zapier lets you do all sorts of cool automations. So you might say, hey, when a person joins my team, send them a welcome video. Or, hey, when a new customer signs up for my course, automatically add them to my MailChimp sequence. So those are really powerful, cool tools that, again, as a small business, let you do a lot with a tiny team. Let's talk about information technology tools, IT tools, information system tools. So you're going to need a GoDaddy or a registrar or something to go get your domains, right? In some cases, your hosting provider, like Bluehost or Cloudways or whatever, they're going to have the ability to also register. But nevertheless, as a business owner, you need your go-to tools to register domains, right? That's your maindomain.com or .org or whatever it is that you want. You're going to need a Google Workspace or something similar, right? Then of course you're going to need email for your company, right? So for each of your individuals or aliases or forwarding or the different emails that you see on websites like info at or affiliates at, all these different kinds of things. So you're going to need your workspace, your emails for your company, and you might, related to the project management, you're going to obviously need a place to store files and share files with your team. From an IT point of view, in the beginning, you might just back up your files on a USB drive. Every once in a while you back up, but later on you might go ahead and pay for some tools to back up automatically every time you're making a change. And it might not just be you, it might be for your team. Or as part of those cloud services like Dropbox and Google Drive, you're going to get free backups there. So that's pretty cool. You might need some password sharing tools. So in the beginning, it's just you, but as you grow, you're going to want maybe some password sharing so that you can share your Canva account with your different teammates. Or maybe later, your Canva account goes to kind of a higher tier. And that's when you have users, multiple users all using those different tools, right? Whether it's your accounting tools or your design tools or your operational tools. Finally, let's go over educational tools. So you're going to need some sort of course platform, whether it's the leader like Kajabi or something like Thinkific and Teachable. It could be kind of a homemade solution where you take WordPress and you add LearnDash and you do things like that. But nevertheless, you're going to need some sort of course system. You're going to need some over time. This woodworking teacher might have a community where he or she and their team is helping others with very specific questions on what models to get, how do you shape it, which oils to use, right? All this sort of stuff. So you might have a community. Your community might come as a bundle as part of your coaching program, right? So Kajabi has courses and communities, right? So, or you might just say, you know what, I want really a dedicated community. So I've been looking at School recently, SKOOL. There are others like Mighty Networks and Circle and others like that. And finally, maybe you're a coach. So there might be training tools that are ideal for coaches. Again, you can leverage a lot of these course platforms. They have coaching and discussion rooms and things like that. Or you could go ahead and get yourself like a dedicated coaching platform like UpCoach, or fake it with Zoom and webinars and Calendly. So nevertheless, so you're going to need a set of tools as you add more products and services to your training business. In the end, businesses like yours are going to be able to level up and go faster and do more by using the right tools. So start thinking about these tools. What are the ones that you could fake for now, then try the free version, and then ultimately pay for and get actual value as you and your team start to grow your creative training business. Let's summarize. Here are the top things you need to know when picking out tools for your online training business. You're going to want to think about all the departments, okay? Finance, project management, design, marketing, sales, operations, IT, and of course, education. You're going to pick and choose and watch your budget. You're going to say, what tools do I need? You don't want to have 100 tools, right? Pick out the best 5, 10 tools and use them. You're going to want to do it in stages based on their free tier and then move up And in some cases, you might not even need a tool. So don't add that complexity to your business. Periodically, at the end of the year, once you identify tools that you're definitely using, I like to then switch it up to an annual plan. I'm going to keep Zoom for a while. Go ahead and flag those and turn those into a yearly plan. And you could probably save 2 months a year in savings. And while I've mentioned a lot of tools, just pick out a few key tools that run your business and that you actually use and that you collaborate with your teammates to do what you need at each stage of your business, regardless of your different journeys. So now you're a lot smarter on different web apps and tools that you need to run your training business. If you're loving this stuff, go ahead and subscribe to keep leveling up your training business. To learn more, check out the expanded details and links in the notes. And if you need any tech help with your online courses, membership community, or coaching website, visit www.artsy.com. Hey, thanks for hanging out. Let's stay in touch.